All right, let's jump into this. We're looking at the AI Daily News Digest for February 14th, 2025.
Some really wild stuff in here.
Yeah, we've got AI coding better than humans, even a peek at Elon Musk's, uh, what did he call it? Scary Smart AI project.
Oh, right, Grok 3.
Yeah, that's the one. But we're not just skimming headlines, are we?
Oh, definitely not. Gotta go deeper, right?
Yeah,
Figure out what it all really means.
exactly. So where do we even begin?
Well, we could start with that fnet paper, the one from way back in 2022, seeing a bit of a resurgence.
fnet. Okay, yeah, I remember something about that. Wasn't supposed to be super fast?
That's it. It used Fourier Transforms to process tokens.
Instead of the usual attention thing.
Right. Big idea was to speed up training, like by crazy amount, maybe 90%, and also use less memory.
Wow, that would be huge. So what happened? Why didn't it take off back then?
Well, some promise popped up. It wasn't as good as attention, especially in smaller models.
Ah,
And it
yeah.
had convergence issues, trouble learning effectively.
So like all promise, no delivery.
Kinda, yeah. But, and here's the twist, people are talking about it again. Maybe even integrating it into big models like llama or phi.
Bringing it back from the dead.
Why now? Well, things have changed since 2022. We've got new techniques. Maybe we can fix those convergence problems now.
Oh, I see.
Plus, maybe it doesn't have to replace attention entirely, could work with it, get some of those speed benefits without sacrificing too much.
Okay, so a comeback story in the making. I like that. Now, how about something more current? Fermi's 3 from newest research. All the buzz is about its reasoning abilities. They even say it has a thinking mode.
Yeah, unified reasoning, that's a big thing with Fermi's 3.
Okay,
You see, a lot of older models, they were either good at, casual conversation or are at deep step-by-step reasoning, not both. Fermi's 3 is trying to do both.
so not just giving an answer, but showing how it got there.
Exactly. And that's where thinking mode comes in. Use a specific prompt and boom, it lays out its entire reasoning process.
Wow, that's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
we can peek inside its brain.
In a way, yeah. And that's important because it helps us trust it, We see how it makes decisions, can catch any weird biases or mistakes.
Right, that makes sense. But doesn't all that thinking slow it down, make it less, I don't know, natural sounding?
Well, some people have said that, yeah, like it gets a bit too focused on showing off all the steps instead of just having a smooth conversation.
I guess it's always a balance, right? Speed versus accuracy.
For sure. And it makes you wonder, as these AI get smarter, will they know when to think deeply and when to just go with their gut? Or will we have to keep telling them which mode to use?
That's a good point. It's like we're not just asking them to solve problems anymore, but to understand how they solve problems. That's pretty advanced.
It is, and it shows that building truly intelligent machines, it's more than just raw power or fancy algorithms. It's about making them adaptable, like knowing when to use which tool for the job.
Okay, so FNet is making a comeback. Fermi's 3 is thinking deeply. And then there's DeepSeek R1 from NVIDIA. Now, this one really blew my mind. It's actually designing GPU kernels. Those are super complex to code, even for humans. And this AI is doing it, in some cases, even better than the experts. How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. GPU kernels, they're basically the heart of how a GPU processes information.
Right.
They tell it how to handle the data, and they've always been written by human engineers. It's really meticulous work.
So DeepSeek R1 is like designing those instructions itself.
That's right. And it's doing a good job, too. Aced NVIDIA's kernel bench level 1 with 100% accuracy and got 96% on level 2.
And they said it even sped up flex attention. That's like notoriously difficult to optimize. I bet that's got some hardware engineers feeling a little uneasy.
I'm sure it does. If AI can design these kernels better and faster than us, what does that mean for the future of hardware design? Will human experts become obsolete? Or will we see more collaboration between humans and AI?
Man versus machine, but on a whole new level.
It's definitely something to watch. It's probably too soon to say how it'll all shake out, but DeepSeek R1 is definitely pushing the limits.
And it's not just GPU kernels, right? If AI can handle that level of complexity, who knows what else it could design?
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. Some people think AI could eventually design all kinds of hardware, CPUs, memory, even entire computer systems.
So AI building the machines that run AI, that's kind of crazy. But hold on, haven't some people been critical of DeepSeek R1? Something about the benchmarks they used.
Oh, yeah, there's been some debate. The argument is that kernel bench, while it's a good starting point, It might not be a perfect reflection of, real-world kernel design.
So passing a test in a lab is one thing,
Right.
but can it actually work out in the real world?
Exactly. And that's the real challenge for DeepSeek R1. Can it consistently create kernels that are not only efficient, but also, reliable, adaptable to all sorts of different situations?
Right, because a textbook answer is not always the best solution in the real world.
Exactly. That's why it's important to look at these things with a critical eye. Benchmarks are useful, but they're just one piece of the puzzle.
So DeepSeek R1 still has some work to do, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Speaking of things to keep an eye on, how about Elon Musk and his scary smart Grok 3?
Ah, yes, Grok 3.
Is it really as revolutionary as he claims?
Well, it's Elon Musk, so there's always a bit of spectacle, right? But based on what little we know, Grok 3 does seem pretty significant.
He's saying it's got superior reasoning compared to anything else out there, even hinted at a $97.4 billion bid for OpenAI's assets.
That's a bold move.
Yeah. So how do we cut through all the hype? What should we be focusing on?
I think we need to look for real evidence, not just claims, but proof. Solid benchmarks and real-world applications.
Show me the results, not just the promises, right?
Exactly. Until we see more concrete proof, I'd take the scary smart label with a grain of salt.
Musk loves to grab the headlines, but sometimes it feels like he's trying to overshadow everyone else. Speaking of which, OpenAI quietly made a big move by increasing the rate limits for their O3 mini high reasoning model.
Oh, yeah, the rate limits. They increased them sevenfold for plus users.
Plus, users can now send 7 times more requests per minute. Okay, well, what's the significance of that? Just a little perk for paying customers.
It's more than that. By increasing the rate limits, they're giving their paying customers a real advantage. They can do more experiments, process more data, maybe even develop things faster.
So it's a fast lane for those who can pay. But what about those who can't afford the premium access?
That's a good point. This move could widen the gap between those who have access to the best AI and those who don't. Raises questions about fairness, accessibility.
It's like the early days of the internet when only the wealthy could really access it. Could we see something similar happen with AI?
It's possible and something we need to be aware of. As AI becomes more important in our lives, we need to make sure everyone has a chance to benefit from it.
Okay, so we've got big players making big moves, from Musk's pronouncements to OpenAI's strategic decisions. But there's also this story about a Reddit user who wants to build a home PC that can run a 70 billion parameter LLM, and they're trying to do it for under $3,000.
I saw that. It's really inspiring to see people taking things into their own hands like that. Not too long ago, you'd need a supercomputer for something like that, but now, with a bit of ingenuity and some off-the-shelf parts, it might be doable at home.
And it seems like a lot of people are into it. Others jumped in with their own setups using things like EPIC processors, tons of RAM, even MI60 GPUs.
It's great to see this enthusiasm for pushing the limits. People don't just want to use AI, they want to build it, experiment with it.
It's a real DIY revolution in AI. People are saying, we don't need big tech or fancy labs. We can do this ourselves.
I love that attitude, and it shows that AI is becoming more accessible. Building and running these huge models is still tough, but the barriers are coming down.
Some people were even talking about using Macs, like the M1 Ultra with 128 gigabytes of RAM for running those 70 billion parameter models. They said it was surprisingly good, especially for chat.
Interesting. So it seems like the hardware options are expanding. It's not just about data centers anymore.
So what does this all mean for the future of AI? Are we going to see an explosion of home-built AI? Will everyone have their own powerful language model running in their basement?
That's the big question, isn't it? I don't think everyone will be building supercomputers anytime soon, but this move towards greater accessibility is definitely happening.
And it's not just about the hardware. There's also this whole ecosystem of open source tools, libraries, and datasets that are giving people more power to experiment with AI than ever before.
Absolutely. Open source is a huge part of making AI more democratic and inclusive.
Okay, so we've got fnet maybe making a comeback, deFormese 3 pushing the boundaries of reasoning, DeepSeek R1 shaking things up in hardware design, Grok 3 wrapped in hype, OpenAI playing the rate limit game, and this DIY AI movement gaining momentum. It's been quite a deep dive.
It really has. Shows just how fast things are moving and how much is happening in the world of AI.
It feels like we're moving past the point where AI is just for, big tech companies and research labs. It's getting into the hands of regular people.
It's really exciting. But, with all this power and access, we got to think about the bigger picture. What does it mean for society? How do we make sure AI is used for good, not for bad?
That's the big question, isn't it? And I don't think anyone really knows the answer yet. But we need to start talking about it now before it's too late.
Yeah, we need to be talking about bias, transparency, making sure these AI systems are aligned with our values. We don't want to make existing problems worse.
It's like we're building this powerful engine, but we need to make sure we have a steering wheel and brakes before we let it loose.
Exactly. And it's not just about technical stuff, right? It's about making sure everyone understands AI, its potential, but also its limits.
AI literacy, almost like a new kind of basic skill for the 21st century.
I think so, yeah. Because with any powerful technology, there will always be people who try to use it for good
Absolutely.
and those who try to exploit it. It's up to all of us to make sure AI benefits humanity.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the February 14th, 2025 AI Daily News Digest, it's clear that we're living in a crazy time. So much is changing, so many possibilities. It's both exciting and a little scary.
Yeah, definitely a mix of emotions. We need to be cautious, but also optimistic. And we need to keep having these conversations, figuring out what kind of future we want to build with AI.
Well said. And to everyone listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What are you excited about? What worries you? What's caught your eye in the world of AI? Head over to our website or social media. Let's keep this conversation going.
Because ultimately, the future of AI isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we all create together.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, and we'll see you next time.